welcome to Student Voice. I'm Denisha Thomas. When students start college, many find themselves spending and receiving money more than they ever had before. This can lead to financial problems that affect students for many years to come. With us today is Dale Grisso, Manager of Financial Literacy for Chattanooga State's Financial Aid Department. Hey.
Hey, Denisha.
All right, so a major focus of your job is helping understand financial literacy. So what exactly is that?
Well, there's a couple pieces. There's the financial aid piece, which a lot of students depend on to be at Chat State. And then there's the personal money management piece, which is if a student has a job and income and what they do with that.
Okay. So are student loans good or bad?
Oh, that is a great question. And it really is different per student and their situation. So we say if a student doesn't need a loan, we'd be recommended not to borrow so it doesn't weigh them down in the future. But if a student does need a loan to be in school and finish their degree, and that is the ticket to a good job in that case, then there are some cases where students do need student loans, and it kind of removes the stress off of how am I going to pay for college this semester.
Okay, so when students do get loans that need them, would you recommend going through the government or going through a private agency that gives loans? Which is better is it another student by case?
Right, well, of course, free money first, before student loans. So Pell Grant, Tennessee Hope, Tennessee Promise, Tennessee Reconnect, those types of monies are obviously best. But then as far as loans, our community college only does federal student loans, so we don't have the private loan option. But when a student leaves Chat State, and if they're pursuing a bachelor's at another school, they do need to think about that question. And it is suggested to do federal loans first if you have to borrow it off. Again, free money first, but if you have to borrow it all, then federal loans because they have fixed interest rate and usually better payoff terms. Like you can pay off any time without penalty. There are payment plan options that are income-based if a student can't afford the payments later, things like that. So I would put private student loans last, and I would really almost reconsider what college I'm going to, how much do they cost, why am I even needing private student loans?
Okay. So with getting student loans, or even just, budgeting in general, what are some basics that students need to know about their money in college?
Another great question. To me, it comes down to a budget. So you're going to have some costs that just come with college. Tuition, books, what are we going to eat, how are we getting to school, what about my housing situation, do I have children, all those life factors. And so a little budget worksheet is a beautiful way to just kind of list those items and what they're costing us per month. It's a great way to get started. About 2/3 of our students in the freshman class have jobs and probably more in our sophomores. So if you have a job or an income, that of course goes on the budget sheet as well. And then we just want more coming in than going out. So we have something left over to save and to spend and to invest wisely.
Okay. So it seems like it's more freshmen that kind of struggle with budgeting. So what are some things that can help them get started?
That is a great question. So about 2/3 of our students have income, but about 40-something% of them, about 43%, have never done a budget before. So where do you get started? One of the easiest ways is to get a bank account, get an app on your phone, and then look at your numbers. See if there's any income coming in, especially with direct deposit. What's my outflow? So a budget's a great way to start. Analyzing your college costs is part of that. It's huge. And that includes financial aid students receiving, right? So when I was a student here, I relied on Pell Grant for mine. Yeah, so just keeping it real. So knowing what that amount was, and then was there any refund left over, I might want to save some of that for books next semester. And for our Promise and Reconnect students, they don't get extra money for books unless they get the Pell Grant or student loans or something extra. So they're really having to budget for those future costs.
I'm really bad at budgeting.
We all are.
I definitely don't really budget as much as I do.
It is not natural for anybody. It's one of those life things.
I'm an avoid, so.
Sure.
I like to think I have the money, and then I check my bank account, and I'm like, holy crap.
Exactly.
I gotta actually slow down.
Yeah, that's called being a human. So it's just a matter of applying a new habit of, okay, let's look at this each month until I know my numbers for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a habit you have to grow into.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So what are the next steps that students can take?
Okay, I would suggest starting with a bank account and getting a student bank account so it's free. Talk to the bank about the options. And that way on your bank app, you can see, okay, I have a checking account. That way if I have extra financial aid money or a paycheck, I can get that direct deposit right in. If I'm paying any bills out of that, it's all kept, easy record on my bank app. If I want to transfer a little of my leftover to savings, awesome. Some students get a credit card to build their credit score, but that's not for everybody, especially if you're a shopper. And so, I would say if you're going to try to build credit that way, designate your card only for a certain bill or maybe textbooks and then pay it off the day after you use it because you already have the money in your account. And on the bank app, it's as easy as a simple transfer. Okay, paying that credit card off. I don't want to pay any interest, any fees, and still build a good positive credit history. And you can actually build your credit score that way.
Okay, so a little off what I originally had for topic. With the financial aid that students receive, do you see that a lot of students are spending their money, blowing through it with unnecessary purchases, say things like gaming, or they'll spend it on concerts, or they go out to eat with it when they don't necessarily need to, like just things that you don't really need to spend it when you can be saving it?
Right, that is a definite temptation that we all face. There is actual research now that says money and spending, including shopping, is cocaine on the brain. That's actual research now. So that money high that we get when we get bonus money, including financial aid, or when we hit the store or online shopping, there's a chemistry involved and it gets our emotion hyped up. And then yes, absolutely, what you asked is perfect. I mean, it's so easy to blow it. So now that we're aware of that, and I remember my cocaine high on the brain warning, then the next time I get some money, I just park it for a second, especially financial aid money, and let's use that for school only and make sure that all my essentials, my survival is covered before all the extra fun stuff. And of course, fun is great. I just want to have some leftover money for that.
Okay. And one more question on that.
Bring it on.
Would you recommend that students that already have credit cards, if they have a balance, would you recommend if they have that extra money to go ahead and spend it on that? Like help their credit cards go down?
Okay, I see what you mean. So using extra money to pay down a debt before other things. So credit cards have extremely high interest rate, and so do some personal loans and some of these title and payday advance loans. They're terrible on interest rates. So my strategy is, of course, get rid of anything that has a bad interest rate that's working against me. But you got to survive. You do want to take care of your college costs. If a student owes a bill, they can't come back to college. They have a hold on their account, If they drop out of school and owe some of their federal aid back, if they got Pell Grant or loans, then they're also on a hold until they can pay that back. So there are some scenarios where you've got to think about survival in college. But then, yes, the next thing top of my priority would be getting rid of any high interest rate debts, and that definitely includes credit card. That's why I don't carry a balance on my credit card ever. I don't use it in the first place unless I already had the money to pay it off.
I wish I could be like you. Really bad with that too.
Yeah. Again, it's just the every day we learn a little more and we adjust ourselves a little more until we get better and better at it. We all have to do that.
It's just difficult. All right, so for students that are looking for more information on this topic, where exactly can they go?
We have some new tools. One is the EverFi Transit course. It talks about money and it's on the financial aid requirements list. It doesn't hold up financial aid, but it's an opportunity to learn more about money. And it is great. It's got a lot of info in it. The new website we're partnered with nationally now is cashcourse.org. And you can learn a ton of stuff about money and budgeting, articles, just everything you could imagine basically on cashcourse.org. Tons of colleges across the country are using it now.
Okay. Well, guys, that is it for this episode of Student Voice. For more information about financial literacy, click the financial tab at chattanoogastate.edu. Have a great day.